Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia. I'm a peer mentor at the Keys program, and today I want to share with you a few things about self-care, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. I really wanted to talk about self-care because, being at home isn't always the best for you, but there are some pros and cons to it. I feel that as a student, since all of you are students, no matter what your situation is, whether you're a first year, a second year, whether this is your last semester or your first semester, we all need to address self-care within ourselves and especially during these times, since there's a lot of transitions going on, a lot of misinformation and a lot of negative and positive things going on. I really feel that self-care is something that we should discuss. So without further ado, I will go ahead and start. So the first topic I have today is actually a question. And my question is, why should I do self-care? Self-care, to answer this, self-care prioritize the mind, the body, and the soul. It's a chance to recharge and helps you be more effective when doing your daily normal. Um, Under self-care, there are around 5 types. There's physical, social, mental, spiritual, and emotional. A quote that I really enjoyed and that really sat well with me was, self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. Moving further, we have the first type of self-care. So as you see throughout all the PowerPoints, I'll go over each individual self-care. So the first one is physical self-care. Physical self-care is about caring for your body, like properly eating, properly sleeping, getting adequate amounts of exercise, attending doctor's appointments, and regularly taking medications as prescribed by a doctor. So on the first one, which is properly sleeping, it affects you emotionally and physically. A good example for this is if I wake up at 7 a.m. or no, I said that backwards. If I fall asleep at 3 a.m. and I wake up at 7 a.m., I'll end up waking up grumpy, groggy, really tired. If I have to go about my whole day, I'm going to be exhausted by the end of it. So getting proper sleep is very important for us so that we emotionally and physically feel better and are able to go about our days or our daily normal. If we eat properly, we can prevent weight gain and diseases like diabetes. um, if we get adequate amounts of exercise, it can boost our overall mood. And in order to get these amounts of exercise, especially since we're in a pandemic and a lot of us are, are or we have to stay home, you can, if you have younger siblings, you can play with your younger siblings, like fun games like tag or Simon Says, or jump roping if you have a jump rope. Or you can even be outside playing on the sidewalk, or playing hopscotch, or playing with bubbles or whatever, if you have younger siblings. Or you can even you know do proper exercise and exercise for about an hour. The recommended is at least 60 minutes, which is an hour. Moving forward, we have attending doctor's appointments and regularly taking medication as prescribed by a doctor. One of the key things about physical care within, or the physical aspect of self-care, is that physical self-care is all about managing your health. It's all about managing your overall well-being. The logic is that when you care for your body, your mind feels better. So, if you go to those doctor's appointments, since we are managing your whole well-being and all your health, really do go to them. Really do go, like, annually, which is about every year, or maybe semi-annually, which is every 6 months. And do, remember to take your medication regularly if it is prescribed by a doctor. Those will all go into managing your physical self-care. And it's good to take care of yourself overall. Like I pointed out, physical self-care is all about managing yourself, your health. On the side here, I have 5 self-care, like 5-minute self-care things that you can do. So simple things you can do within 5 minutes, like drinking water or doing a short mindful breathing exercise. Maybe even booking an appointment you've been putting off. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with physical self-care. It's just self-care as a whole, things that you could do. Moving forward, we have social self-care. So social self-care has to do with your social life. has to do with your connections, your relationships, how you're building them, how we as humans need connections in order to thrive, which is the first bullet point I have there, which is close connections are key to helping us thrive. Some of us some of us can be on either extreme of very introverted or extroverted. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, I don't know the word. I think the word is like ambiverted. I'm not quite sure. But I'm in the middle of that. But to get back to what we're doing, even if you are a little bit introverted or overly extroverted, depending on what's happening, or even if you're in the middle, we still all need to address all of these 4 points here, which is having close connections, which keep us, which are key to keeping us or helping us thrive. We all need to figure out what social need we need the most. So maybe if I have an issue that I have to get through and I want to just talk to a family member or maybe a close friend, maybe that's what you need versus going out and partying or making acquaintances. You need to find out which social need you need to address the most. Along with that, you need to build enough time in your schedule to help your social life reach your social need or needs. So even if we know what our needs are or what we need and what we don't need within our social times, we need to make sure that we have enough time in order to reach those social needs or those goals that we have. And lastly, and which is very, very important, I think it's the most important out of all of these, is putting time and energy into building relationships with friends and family. Friends or family are the people that you're going to put your most time into. If people feel like you're blowing them off or you're ghosting them, they will notice. Some people might bring it up to you if they're very active in that way, or very, like, hey, you didn't talk to me, like, what's going on, you haven't talked to me in a while. So make sure to, if you're building enough time in your schedule, make sure to put time and energy into building those relationships when you build that time in your schedule, and really do put that time in there. So next up we have mental self-care. I think out of all the self-cares, or out of all the topics within self-care, mental self-care gets a lot of recognition, especially since there's a lot of movements out there in order to address mental illness or mental health in whole. So one of the main things I have on here is mental self-care is the way that you think and the things we do to fill our minds, and that mental self-care, or that mentally, um the way that we fill our minds has a high impact on our psychological well-being. So what that means is that basically mental self-care is the way in which our consciousness works and how we kind of stimulate our mind, or even maintain our conscience. And on the side here, I have a few bullet points, and that is, do things that stimulate your brain, which is, it can be anything. It can be puzzles, learning something new, or reading a book. Any of those things will help stimulate your brain. It's basically just making your brain work and exercising your brain. So really do that, and that will help stimulate your brain and keep your brain sharp and on point for things. One of the things I love doing is being really interactive. I think with drawing, I love drawing. I think that helps me, like, figure out if I like something, if I don't like something, if I have a specific I can't talk today, but if I have a specific color, then I want to use a specific color, or if there's like a puzzle that I love doing, I'll do a puzzle. And I love reading books, so I really recommend these things to do to help stimulate your brain and keep your processes sharp. Another thing is practicing self-compassion and acceptance. This is a really big deal, because if you don't practice self-compassion and acceptance, it's like telling yourself, like, I hate myself every day, when I don't hate myself. Instead of telling yourself that you hate yourself every day, or that you don't like something, or if there's a flaw that you see, tell yourself that you love something about yourself, or that you love yourself. Have that openness, that acceptance, and that compassion in order to keep yourself mentally healthy. And the last bullet point I have here is, do things that help you maintain a healthier conscience. And doing things that help you maintain a healthier conscience can be anything that helps you feel better, that helps you overall be better. You know, it has our mental self-care really does, or our mental, the mental aspect of self-care really does play a large and has a high impact on us and our well-being. So, you know, let's try to fill our minds with things that impact us to be better, do better, and to be positive. And of course, if you need help, you know, go seek some professional help, like a therapist, or you know, take action. You know, never give up on yourself. Kind of reading from this picture here. So on the picture here, it has like self-care for mental health. You know, have compassion for yourself. You know, practice positive self-talk. You know, be kind to yourself. If we're looking at you know, support, go seek support, go to therapy. If you know you have a mental illness, or maybe you don't, but you need to talk about somebody and you feel like you're like shameful, or you're hiding something and you need to talk about it, definitely seek help, get support. You know, maybe tell your family members, be like, hey, I don't, you know, I don't feel good, or maybe I don't feel all the way okay. I think I should see a professional. And hopefully your family has an understanding, or maybe your closest friends or your significant other, whether it be a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Definitely, you know, build those support systems. And I think one of the few big things on here is tell yourself the truth. If you see something you don't like in your life and you want that to change, be truthful about it. Tell yourself what the flaw is. That way you can help resolve and find a solution to the problem. You know, if you're just gonna if you're just gonna, you know, not acknowledge the truth, then you're not gonna help yourself. And of course, take action. If you feel like you're saying yes too often, then start saying no. You know, follow through with the treatment plan. Don't give up on yourself. You know, if you're not sure how to cope well with like stress, or maybe if you're grieving and you don't know how to cope with death or anger or whatever emotion or whatever situation you're going through that you need help coping with, seek help in order to, or take action in order to cope with those situations that are going on. And just overall help yourself do what you can in order to maintain an healthier conscious within mental self-care. Alrighty, let's move forward into spiritual self-care. Okay, now one of the big things, or one of the big statements I want to make about spiritual self-care is spiritual self-care can be with or without the presence of religion. You don't necessarily have to go to church if you don't want to. You don't have to do it. Or maybe you're agnostic, you kind of believe and then you kind of don't believe. Or maybe you just are atheist and you don't believe within, you know, anything spiritual. That's okay. It doesn't matter whether you do or don't. The spiritual self-care doesn't have to do necessarily with a religion. It can just be there to, you can just kind of confide in yourself spiritually, or on the aspect of your soul, and you can just develop a deeper sense of meaning, or develop a deeper understanding about things. That you kind of it's kind of searching and looking deeper into things, and overall develop a connection with the universe. If that's what you're looking to do, you can do that. Some examples are meditation, attending a religious service, if you do go to a religious service, or praying. Praying necessarily doesn't have to do with one religion, or, you know, one thing. It can be for anything. You can pray for safety, you can pray for safety of others, your family, friends. You can pray for wealth if that's what you want to do. Really, praying, anybody can do it. It's not something that a religion can tell you to do or cannot do. So definitely give yourself a shot within spiritual self-care, with or without religion. You know, sometimes you need to shut down and kind of search for those deeper sense of meaning. Say if you're kind of having a little crisis, or say if you're having a crisis and it's kind of like, I don't know what to do with my life, or I don't know if I'm going the right way, or if I don't know what my, you know, higher purpose in life is. Sometimes we have to look to the spiritual aspect of ourselves in order to get that deeper sense of meaning, or to find a resolve with it for those questions, or come to a deeper understanding. Okay, moving on. And lastly here, I have emotional self-care. I love emotional self-care. It's my favorite, especially because I myself have some problems when it comes to emotional self-care. Sometimes I have like a delayed reaction to like emotions. So a good example is like, well, if you're like me, a good example is like, say if like you're driving and like this has never happened to me, or I've never road raged before, just like, but say if you're driving and a car cuts you off, or something happens and you're really upset, but you don't express that like expression, that anger, or that, like if you're angry or you're upset or if you're sad or something initially, sometimes people are really passive. I know I'm a passive person. So really going through emotional self-care helps me understand what I'm feeling, and it helps me understand what I'm feeling sooner rather than later. In order to conduct emotional self-care, it's really important to like get involved in activities that help you acknowledge and express your feelings on a regular basis. And it totally many different types of ways, and it can be like as simple as asking for help, or by talking to a family member, a close friend, a spouse, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be. Sometimes you just have to, talk to somebody. You just have to tell them how your day is going. Sometimes you have to talk about the bad things, or sometimes you have to talk about the good things. I know right now this pandemic has been a really big topic within good and bad, and we're looking at like, dealing with things like, we're looking at every country and we're thinking like, oh, how many deaths are there? How many covered are there? What's the good news? What's the bad news? What's our president doing? What is this country doing? What is that country doing? So really just taking time to talk to somebody about it, maybe you can be open, get their opinion, get their understand what they're going through, or understand what their point of view is, really, or not necessarily about this pandemic, but maybe it's something as simple as like if somebody got upset at the store. Talk about it with somebody. um Sometimes we just need to set time for leisure activities. Maybe we've been like so stressed with work or homework or exams or things like that, that we just want to just relax and chill and unwind. So like maybe watching a movie might help us, or if we get complimented, maybe that will help us kind of, relax a little about something, or starting a journal to really write out all that stuff will help. Or sometimes maybe we just want to create a new experience, maybe go on a trip. Some people go to Disneyland, some people go to Six Flags, or sometimes people just go on a hike or even a walk. Any of those things will help you emotionally, and really to take care of yourself. And lastly, what my favorite one is have a treat yourself day. Having a treat yourself day is really just to, if you enjoy something and you feel that, hey, I have worked really hard, I think I deserve to eat a piece of cake or have a piece of lasagna or whatever it may be. Treat yourself. It's always good to treat yourself once in a while. Show that self-love, express those feelings to yourself, and just really acknowledge it. Acknowledge those feelings. In this photo, or on the picture on the side, I have, a few examples like starting a journal, watching a funny movie, express your feelings, create a new experience, learn to say no. That will come up in a little bit. Accept compliments, smile more, crying it out. If you feel sad, you need to cry, or if you feel stressed, you need to cry. You can do that too. I've done it too. Chemistry was hard, that's all I'm saying. And ask for help. All right. And one of the last things I have here is, just kind of like self-assess yourself. Some questions to ask yourself will be, am I getting enough sleep? Is my diet helping my body function well? Am I getting enough exercise? Am I seeing others face to face often? Do I make enough time for activities that mentally stimulate me? Am I doing something proactive to help me stay mentally healthy? Am I engaging in spiritual practices that I find fulfilling? Do I have healthy ways to process my emotions? And lastly, do I incorporate activities in my life that help me feel recharged? I would like each of you, if you watch this, I would like each of you to just kind of take a moment to self-assess yourself and ask yourself these questions. Maybe you'll benefit from this. Maybe if you feel that you're okay, then maybe you can learn how to improve on that. Or maybe if you need to improve on something, then this can kind of help you improve from that. But when you do this, I want you to take into account that there's two types of things out there. There's real self-care and there's fake self-care. We don't want to do fake self-care. Let's stay on real self-care. But getting to that point that I said I'd come back to earlier was that um, between real and fake self-care, you don't always have to say yes because you want to be a nice person. So fake self-care is saying yes to everyone because you're a nice person. That's an example. You don't have to say yes. You can say no and kind of, do things for yourself. You don't necessarily have to do things for everyone. Another example is fueling your body with food that gives you energy and helps you improve mentally. Come on, if we look at ourselves from a scientific point of view, as an anatomy and physiology, our body needs food in order to perform different functions. We need food, we need the glucose, we need the sugars, we need the starches, we need the fats, we need those things. They all help our body function and move. Dieting necessarily isn't bad, but it can be a form of fake self-care if you're dieting in ways that do not benefit you. You do need proper nutrition, or else you will be now malnourished. And if you aren't malnourished, maybe that can lead to other things. Sometimes dieting can lead to other mental disorders like bulimia or dyslexia. So sometimes there is a line that you need to draw within fake self-care and real self-care. And really do, when you assess yourself, really do try to, if you need to make an improvement, improve yourself positively and within the realm or within the areas of real self-care. All right, lastly, I have some post questions for each of you. So, what is self-care? What are some differences between real and fake self-care? What are some things you plan to do differently or start to do? And lastly, has your opinion on self-care changed? On the side, I have a little chart that talks about, 5 ways to do self-care during the COVID virus. And there's those big 5 things, they really matter. And the first is inform, second is connect, the third is soothe, fourth is control, and the fifth is honor and distract. Inform. So when I talk about informed, there's a point in which there's good parts in which you're getting informed, and then there's bad parts. So say if you're getting informed, make sure that information is correct, that it is accurate, that it is from a creditworthy source. If you feel that you've been exposed to too much negative media, limit your media consumption. Put your phone down. Go do something. Go outside. Take a breather. Go outside and breathe. Get some fresh air. If you need to, play with the kids. Play with the dog. Take time away from there. Focus on your studies. Really don't overwhelm yourself with that. Connect is important. Reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, stay connected, support each other. Just because you're in isolation or you're in quarantine doesn't mean that you have to stop all connection. It just means that you have to adjust the ways in which you're connecting. Soothing is good. Soothe yourself. If you feel that you're anxious or nervous because of the media, or because you might have the virus, or if you're or that if you feel that maybe you're stressed out, if there's a lot of bills to pay, a lot of people are in very different situations. Soothe yourself. Soothe yourself. Take a moment to breathe, practice breathing exercise, relax, calm down, do things that you like doing, maybe sing, maybe laugh, maybe watch TV or even pray. Try to do things within control. So within the area of control, it means that even though we can't control the state of our government or our schooling or our kids' education or your education, we can control the things that we can do. So even though our professors might post a lot of things to do what you are able to do. Okay, pass your semester, make that a goal. Drink water, eat proper foods, sleep well. Adjust yourself to the situation, and focus on the things that you can control in the respect to our health, like washing our hands, coughing into our elbows, sneezing into our elbow, wearing a face mask if you have one, or limiting your time at the stores, and overall keeping everybody safe. And lastly, we have honor and distract. Honor and distract means that we want to acknowledge all the fear, all the anxiety, all the bad out there. We can acknowledge it. We know that it's there, but we can divert our attention and we can focus on things that make us feel better, like reading a book or solving a puzzle or talking to friends on the phone. Honoring and distracting yourself is one of the main or one of the biggest things I feel that will really help us in this time. And I hope all of you take these into account. Um, that's all of the time I have today. Thank you for coming. Have a great day. I hope all of you are very successful in your paths. And that's all.